What up, doe, everybody? Welcome back to Daily Upside. If this is your first time here, then I'm your host, Keenan Rivals. And look, this is a segment of the High Upside Show where we just talk about sports cards every day. Nothing in particular, nothing personal. I have a podcast that comes out every Friday that's a little more focused on my personal investments and how I move within this market. But with Daily Upside, we're just talking about everyday things that happen in the hobby, in the market, and kind of in the NBA. So again, this is your first time here. Welcome. Hit that like, subscribe button. Really helps me out a lot. And I'm happy to have you guys with me. Today we're kind of switching it up. Typically, I always look at The Athletic for my NBA news, but I saw an interesting article on Bleacher Report and thought I might share it with you guys. Unlike The Athletic, Bleacher Report's 100% free. So maybe we'll use them because I know everyone doesn't want or have that subscription. But yeah, this is talking about NBA free agency. If you haven't heard, that might be a lot sooner than you think. And it really just going in depth of like all the NBA teams and how each player can play a role on a new team. So you see, for example, we're talking about Paul Millsap. They're saying his idea role is a starting power forward. I don't know for what team. Kind of a six man, which I think is a better projection for him. And they're just talking about where he might fit in at or where he might go. We see Markieff Morris, we see Christian Wood, who I'm a big fan of. And these kind of articles are really interesting and it's extremely important for investors because you might be able to kind of see like what a guy could be in the future. Maybe we got a guy who's on the bench, but he might be a starting center. Let's see if we can find a good example of that. Montrezl Harrell, for example. I don't know how much hobby potential he has, but somebody who's on the bench for the Clippers right now, but he might be able to go to Houston and start, or whoever they're looking to pick him up. They're saying the Detroit Pistons. As a Detroiter, I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm not a Montrezl Harrell fan. Great player, but I'm not a fan. But yeah, these are the kind of things I'm looking at just to kind of get an idea of what's happening in the NBA and how that can help us investors. On this particular article, they're talking about who could join the team and how they could benefit that team. But another good way to look at this is to see who's leaving a team. So, this guy plays for the Washington Wizards. Maybe that now opens up a space for a power forward position on the team. Maybe Isaac Bonga can get some play time or at small forward and somebody moves to power forward. So you really have to be strategic and forward thinking when it comes to sports cards. If you see Gallinari leaving, maybe that opens up some play time for somebody in OKC. And these are the kind of things that we just have to look at to be ahead of everybody. So if you want to check out this article, definitely do so. I think it's super, super interesting. The reason I brought this article up was to kind of give you guys that insight, but just to also talk about the free agency overall. I think I read somewhere that it could be happening as soon as November 18th. And when I first saw that, I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But then I realized, like, yo, November 18th is like 4 weeks away. Like, that's dirty. Like, that's so close. This was not even an off season for most people, at least those teams in a bubble. And it really got me thinking, like, yo, the NBA season is definitely around the corner. If it's happening in December or late December, like they say, that's just not far away. That's like dumb close. That means, like, as an investor, you got about 60 days to make your plays. And that's just not a lot of time. I really think a lot of people are going to FOMO. I think we saw some top tier talent last year. The season didn't go as planned, but we really saw some players break out. I mean, Jamal Murray had a superstar finish. I'm starting to think that he could be one of the better point guards in the league with his size and shooting and passing ability, his athleticism. I mean, you just don't see that. Everybody else is slow and kind of fat or, just super small and it only has that jump shot. He literally has that total package. I mean, we saw Jason Tatum, we saw Jalen Brown, we just saw Brandon Ingram. We saw an array of players who really dominated, but they didn't get to the next level. They got close, but they didn't get quite there. And this season, they can get to that next level, especially if LeBron takes a month off, or especially with just players getting older in general. So now is the time to really be buying, in my opinion. I mean, if the season gets confirmed for December, I think people are going to start FOMOing in. So if you're listening to this channel, you heard it from me first. If you're not buying right now, you should be, because you got to get in before everybody else. You don't want to have the same strategy as everybody else, which is to buy 30 days before the season or whatever. The real money is made when people are buying, not when everybody else is selling. So you have to buy before everybody else buys. But enough of that. We can move on to the next topic. A few days ago, we talked about some contender cards here, and I wanted to kind of share with you what I've been seeing. I'm not sure if this is a direct result from the podcast or if these cards have just been flying off the shelf under my nose. But over the last few days, we've seen contenders kind of take off. I mean, we're seeing like non-Luca, non-Trey Young cards being hit. You know, we got a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander here, Wendell Carter Jr., who I'm not a huge fan of, but you got some jersey cards popping off. So I mean, even a 2012-13 Klay Thompson. I think 2012-13 contenders is undervalued. We'll talk about that more, but I definitely think it's undervalued. And we even got some, contenders optic. Now, I'm a fan of contenders optic. I think it's a dope set. It's obviously the same style as the base contenders, but the thing is there's something about that paper card that just makes the base or the regular contenders nostalgic. It's very similar to baseball. If I'm not mistaken. Like there's Topps Update and then there's Topps Update Chrome. There's just something about Topps Update that kind of stands out a little more. I think that's because of its origin, and it's the same thing with contenders. If you look at like the Tom Brady contenders, like it's a paper card, it's not a Chrome card. As they start making more Chrome versions of this, then they'll just become populated. We know Chrome is easy to grade. We know Chrome is easy to kind of produce. So they're going to always have higher grades because they're just manufactured better. But that paper card, that rare paper card, that rare PSA 10, that rare BGS 9.5, keeping those corners sharp, keeping everything intact, that's what makes these cards so beautiful because out of the pack, they're just hard to get a perfect grade. Most cards have a circulation of like 25. If you're looking at 2012-13, they have like a circulation of like 50. I mean, these are just limited across the board. And I think you guys should be picking them up. Again, I said this a few days ago. If you have a guy that's not Luka, that's not Trey, that's not Tatum, that's not like that top tier guy. If you're investing in a guy that's kind of like under the radar, then you should be looking at these because more than likely they're going for under the Prizm Silver. I mean, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a really good example for that. Somebody got this for under $500, and if you look at his Prizm Silver, they're going for like $699. 700 with a best offer. So whoever is buying this, contenders got it for a great deal because according to Luca and what we see with his prices, the contenders should be worth more than a Prizm Silver. According to Anthony Davis, the contenders should be worth more than a Prizm Silver. So just some food for thought. If you're investing in a mid tier or a low end guy, definitely look at his contenders. If you're investing in a high end guy and you got the money, the contenders is going to be expensive, but it's definitely worth it. If we look at the numbers here, we'll see the chart. So this is Mahomes' contenders. Obviously, in football, contenders is like one of these top sets outside of like national treasures. And we'll see that, Mahomes' contenders at $20,000. Meanwhile, we got Luca down here at $10,000. And for me, I can kind of understand why Mahomes is worth more than Luca. I mean, he's more accomplished, championship winner. He won the Super Bowl, MVP, all that good stuff. He's just like changing the game of football. So he's priced about right here. However, you got Luca, who hasn't, got as many accolades, but he's good. He's solidified in the market. He's going for 10 grand. And what makes me kind of blink an eye at this or look at it is that if you look at the Prizm counterparts, you'll see the difference. I mean, Luca's Prizm is going for a lot more than Mahomes' Prizm. Now, before I get into this, I'm not somebody who really studies football. I don't know what the Mahomes Prizm deal is. Maybe Prizm Silver isn't that respected in football. Maybe Mahomes has like a rare parallel that they kind of go with in football. I'm not sure, but the average investor is going to look at this. And if I'm an average investor, I'm going to say, okay, well, we got Luca's Prizm going for more than Mahomes' Prizm. Why isn't Luca's contenders going for more than Mahomes contenders? So these are the kind of things that I look at, that I pay attention to, and that I'll bring back to you guys. Let me know what you think about that. I don't know if I'm saying that Luca should be at 20,000. I'm just saying that Mahomes is, and maybe Luca should be too. And just looking at this chart, outside of these numbers, outside of all these crazy gains, I think this is what just has me most excited. Like, there's been 594 Prizm Silver Lucas. There's been 355 Mahomes Prizm Silver PSA 10s. There's just like 5 of these combined since over the last month. I mean, even if we do it, oh, this is the last year. That's crazy. Like, I don't know how these cards aren't worth more, but I don't know. I'll stop preaching to you guys about it because I'm just going to drive the prices up. I am going to, come out with a in-depth article about this though. So if you're not signed up for the Patreon, then you might want to be, because what we're going to do is we're going to take Luca and I'm just going to start, banging out articles about cards compared to Luca's cards because he's the gold standard. So if you're not signed up for the Patreon, definitely do so because I'm going to dig a lot deeper into this. And I'm just going to find a shit ton of plays that are very similar to this because right now we're buying a lot of these, obviously, when we probably should be buying a lot of these. If you got two Prism Silver Luca PSA 10s, you might want to think about going to grab one of these. You might want to hedge your bets. If you got like four or five of these, you definitely might want to sell two of them and go grab the contenders. Again, not investment advice. These are just the things that I'm doing. So what else we want to talk about here? Morning Bins. If you guys didn't know, I do a free newsletter every day. Morning Bins comes out. I also have upside auctions where I show you guys some really cool auctions that I think you should bid on. And yeah, what we do in this is we talk about just cards that are kind of a good value. This morning's pick was Jason Tatum. Talked about his select courtside, gave you a quick little rundown of why I thought it was a good value. Also went into, Anthony Davis's 2012-13 contenders. Again, I think 2012-13 contenders is a dope play right now. Super, super undervalued. It is a sticker auto, but still undervalued. If you want the full analysis on this, then, you definitely have to be a part of the Patreon. Same thing with this one right here. But you can kind of get an idea of why I like it from this podcast. So yeah, I send this out every morning. If you're part of the Patreon, you get 3 cards a day and you get the full analysis. If you just want the free sign up, which some people enjoy, you get one analysis and it's still very detailed. So in this one, I talk about courtside, kind of switching up here from contenders and going back to courtside and essentially just broke down why I think it's a good play. Right now, Tatum has a few court sides listed, which is really rare. I remember at one point last year, I really wanted one, and there was just none listed. And the one that was listed, the guy wanted like an astronomical price point for it. But now we have like 4 or 5 of them up there, and we're kind of seeing the prices being driven down. And this is very Trey Youngish. I remember this happening with Trey Young, where he had like 8 or 9 court sides listed, and it drove the price down to like $700 or $800. And as soon as people bought those cards, which took a little while, the prices just instantly shot back up to like 11 or 1200. So we have this thing in the market where people will list to buy it now. And instead of like buying that card, we'll instantly try to make it like the support for that card. So like right now, this card's listed at 15.99. Ideally, that should be hit. Like if the last one went 15.25, a card as limited as the court side should be selling at 15.99. But instead, what we try to do is we try to use it as leverage. We look at that court side, we see it at 15.99, and then we just try to find a different one for like 1400 or 1300. Look, guys, I understand there's like this male ego, there's like this yearn to try to get a card for cheaper. But when we're talking about rare cards, when we're talking about court sides and contenders, that negotiating stuff has to go out the window. Like if you believe in Jason Tatum, if you believe courtside is a future play or immaculate or contenders or whatever other sets we talk about here on Daily Upside, then forget that $100 price difference. Forget that $50 price difference. Forget trying to save $75. Like if you really believe in these cards in the grand scheme of things, $75 is going to be like what you pay in fees. It's just not that deep to miss out on. There's several cards that I missed out on trying to like get dollar price or bottom price, and I instantly regretted it. So, I just wanted to give you guys kind of like that tip. If you see a court side, if you see an immaculate, if you see a national treasures, if you see a Prizm Blue Ice, if you see any of those rare cards, don't try to get them for bottom price because they may not be there tomorrow. So if you like this Jason Tatum courtside, definitely check it out, as well as these cards. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for, my newsletter, look in the description, look in the show notes. It's free. It's a really good value. I mean, who wouldn't want some free information every day outside of this podcast? Now, I just had some tabs up here. I was going to go over kind of like the Anthony Davis and why I thought this was a pretty good buy, especially compared to his Prizm PSA 10. But if I'm being honest, I think we kind of touched on it. I don't know if I go buy this one right out just because the last one did go a few $100 cheaper, which is a pretty big, 20% or so. But it does have that best offer option. And again, there's about 40 of these, in circulation. Not that many. Great looking card. Even looks good with a sticker auto. I mean, this has some ultimate collection vibes. And that's what I think about when I'm looking at cards. I'm trying to compare them to like 2000, 2004. I mean, like what cards are going to be the creme de la cremes or the hottest cards. And LeBron's definitely killing it, and his cards are super up. But it's not his Topps Chrome that's like bringing in the cake. It's his ultimate collection. It's so rare that you can't even find one. I can't even show it to you. So yeah, I think the AD is a dope play. I think contenders overall is a great play. Definitely looking at this chart, and it's definitely speaking to me. It's definitely opening my eyes up. I talk about these things, and as I talk about them, I just start to believe in them so much more. Like this chart says everything that I need to confirm that I'm right on why I think contenders is a play. And these are the kind of things the market cap method does. These are kind of things the multiplier method does. They help us identify these undervalued plays that nobody else is looking at. I mean, who would think at $10,000 this card could potentially be a steal? It's crazy, right? Like if Luca goes on to be like Luca, like if like we think he's going to be, we're going to be like, oh, I wish I would have bought that card at $10,000. This card is the equivalent of Bitcoin. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this episode. Definitely check out the Patreon. Again, the link is in the description, in the show notes. Every time you guys sign up, it really helps me produce this content, helps me go full time, and it's helping me build out this office. If you've been following me on Instagram, you've been kind of following along with this office build out. So I got some more cards coming in. I'll do some more updates in terms of my portfolio. We also have that 2019-20 Optic Mega Box giveaway coming up. We're going to be ripping that in about 3 days here. So you got 3 days to sign up for the premium tier of the Patreon to be eligible to win that. We're doing giveaways every month. So yeah, definitely a lot of reasons to sign up, get all this insight. Plus you might have a chance to win some cool cards. Let me know what you guys thought about today's episode. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Happy investing.